Hey everybody, how's it going? So, I came across, I don't know why YouTube recommended me this, but I watched this video from Stuart Fillingham, and he's in the UK, and I watched his whole video, and he's talking about how the EU is mandatory speed limits on vehicles, on cars, initially on light vehicles, not on motorcycles yet. But as you can imagine, that's probably going to be coming, and this is coming soon to the UK and the rest of the EU in the summer of 2022. I will put a link to his video here in my description. Go check it out. You can hear his opinions on that system, from a UK standpoint, from an EU standpoint. But he had some very valid concerns, questions, and I think he answered some of those. But, there's a lot out there. Who knows how this is going to play out? But it is being adopted summer 2022. So let's go look at the article here. So, EU ruling means speed limiters will be mandatory in the UK by 2022. The new rules provisionally agreed by the EU mean that speed limiters will become mandatory for all vehicles sold in Europe from 2022. In a move which campaigners hope will revolutionize road safety, all vehicles in the EU would be fitted with a system that restricts them from breaking the speed limit. The Department of Transportation say that the UK will follow suit even after its withdrawal. So remember, the UK is splitting out of the European Union as Brexit, right? They're still going through that process. But yet, those in the UK are going to still want to follow some, if not all, of the EU rules. Now, the concern here, and Stewart pointed it out, is he can vote for, in a democratic society, for the people that are in office. And if they set a policy, a rule, a law that the people don't like, the people then can vote that individual out, right? The politician, in theory, should be there for the people, the will of the people, and what the people would like to see happen. What laws, rules, and regulations that are set, and the people have a say that way. But with the EU doesn't answer to anyone. They're not voted in. So you don't have any representation in front of the EU. It's whatever they decide goes. So the people have no say. The people in England have no say what the EU is imposing. And especially with the UK being out of the EU, they as a country, their political figures really have no say other than, well, maybe we should follow this because it's going to otherwise be hard, so it's just easier to follow it. So let's all just follow what the EU is imposing on basically the world, really, because this is going to affect us here in the United States. It's going to affect somebody in Mexico. It's going to affect somebody in Russia and China. It's going to affect people all over the world what the EU is doing, because all manufacturers are not going to build two different systems. Rightfully so, it's easier to build the systems into a vehicle and not have two different systems, because it costs more to manufacture that way. You have two different assembly lines, or you're going to run this car through and build it this way on Monday, but on Tuesday you're building it this way for these countries. They don't do that type of build anymore. They used to. Different taillights, different this and that for different countries. They don't really do that much. I mean, other than the UK is on the other side of the road, and thus their steering wheel and all that is on that side. But a lot of the systems in their cars there are kind of set up still really the same as if it's an American car as far as where the buttons are. They don't really totally redesign everything. That would probably work better in a right-hand drive car versus a left-hand drive car. So UK's always has seen that. But anyways, let's keep going. After being approved by the European Commission, mandatory speed limiting technology called Intelligent Speed Assistance (ISA) could be fitted to all new cars within just 3 years. So all new vehicles. They're not saying you're going to go in and get retrofitted for your old vehicles, but all new vehicles it would be on. So you're going to look, you buy a new whatever it is, a Ford, a Mercedes, an Audi, whatever, BMW, a Land Rover, it's going to be on there. The European Transport Safety Council, the body which supports the introduction of ISAs, says the limiters would reduce collisions by 30% and save around 25,000 lives within 15 years. I don't know how they're coming up with this figure. They don't really give any source. So they're saying that speed contributes to 25,000 lives, and they would otherwise be saved if you were restricted by going over the speed limit. I find that hard to believe and hard to figure out as a figure. The ETSC say that these limiters work by using a speed sign recognition camera and GPS linked speed limit data to advise drivers of the current speed limit and automatically limit the speed of the vehicles as needed. So get that. So it's going to have a camera, so it can be recording stuff, but it's going to recognize speed limit signs, which, man, I wonder how well that system works, because here in the US at least, we're so inundated with various signs. You got your yield signs, your stop signs, your school bus signs, your slow down sign, your do not pass signs, your this sign, that sign, your advertisements, everything. You got so much out there. And no passing zone signs. And, maybe the systems are good enough that they're going to recognize, but it's also going to have a GPS linked speed limit data to advise drivers of the current speed limit. Okay, I already see that on like my wife's Volvo. It's a 2013. It has navigation system. If it's in this, if the speed limit is within the database, what's in the car, it will tell you like this road is 55 miles an hour. This road is 65, 75, whatever the case might be, 45. So it's on the screen, which is a very handy feature, but it can also be wrong too. Even when I use like Google Maps in my vehicle, because I don't have navigation, it can be wrong. When I drove out to ride near Gunnison, it was wrong on what the speed limit was. So you still have to watch the signs, because what's on the ground might change sooner than the data. So now you're going to have a GPS system telling you like this is a 55 zone, but maybe they upped it to a 60 or 65 zone, and it won't be updated, but it's going to act like, well, you're breaking the speed limit. So that data is going to have to be very accurate. And plus, in a lot of areas, at least in the US, like Google Maps, they don't even know what the speed limit is in a certain area. Those roads aren't listed. We have so many roads in this country. I don't know how they're going to get around that. Every road speed limit is going to have to be cataloged and put in a database that is in the car. And then are these databases going to be updated regularly, kind of like your phone? So, you're taking a road trip. Well, this construction zone, it's a 35 zone. No one's going 35. They're going 65, through it. You're like, well, if I slow down at 35, I'm going to have somebody on my butt, mad, honking. So you just kind of go the flow with all the other vehicles. And I am a stickler. I do believe you should be going the speed limit of the construction zone, because there could be workers out and what have you. But when there's no workers about, it's like middle of the night, then, who cares? But that's the thing. These systems won't take that into account. So it's most likely going to save camera footage. It's probably going to save GPS information to your vehicle. So is that going to be used by somebody? I don't know. Let's continue on. ISA systems do not automatically apply the brakes but simply limit engine power, preventing the vehicle from accelerating past the current speed limit unless overridden. So it sounds like you're going to be able to override it, but they're going to limit how fast it accelerates past what it claims is the speed limit. So let's say, I don't know, there's a reason that you need to maybe go over the speed limit slightly. I don't know, emergency just happened. You're trying to get help. There's no one on the road, and the system's going to make it very difficult for you to go over the speed limit to get to the next house to make a call or whatever it might be. It's going to interfere with possibly saving lives. It possibly could. Let's continue on. To make the move more popular, the ETSC proposed an on-off switch to be included at first. Key word is here, at first. It means they're going to introduce this on-off switch, but then later remove that on-off switch once people are used to it, and people will then just accept it. It's kind of like the auto start-stop feature of the vehicles. Like my truck, you can turn it on and off. Kind of makes sense. I'll always turn it off for a work truck because I can't have the truck just kill its engine. And when I first bought it, the salesman was like, well, it's only actually going to kill the engine and not sacrifice your environmental conditions. I don't know if it's because of the F-150 truck, but it can be hot outside. I have the AC cranked to max, and it will kill the engine, thus killing the AC. And I always just, now out of habit, get in and hit the button and turn it off. And when I do forget and the engine stops at the first stoplight or stop sign I come to, I reach over and turn it off. I'm not in bumper traffic much, but I much rather have my AC. So that's how it works on that vehicle. Now, I've been in a rental car in Florida. I think it was a Chevy Malibu or Chevy something or another. And that vehicle, I could not find a way to turn on the on-off auto start, but it actually seemed to work a little bit better than my truck. So I didn't have a problem, so it might just be car specific. But see, that's getting people used to saying you include a switch, but then you take away a switch. I bet the new trucks don't allow you to turn it off. I don't know, maybe they do. But let me know in the description. There's so many different cars out there. This override would allow motorists to speed up until circumstances need it, and could mean that stricter rules could be introduced in the future. So it means it could be even stricter in the future. And now remember, they're saying this is to save lives, to save 25,000 lives a year, I guess, in the European Union, or maybe the UK. Yeah, I guess it's the UK here. Yes, it's sad people die. People are going to die. You can't live in a bubble. But let's continue. The ETSC also suggests that if the driver continues to drive above the speed limit for several seconds, which several seconds is not that long, the system should sound a warning for a few seconds and display a visual warning until the vehicle is operating at or below the speed limit again. So another thing is they're going to want you to go below the speed limit because you don't want to be right on the edge because that might get annoying. Now, how sensitive will it be? If you're 1 mile an hour, is it going to be like you're going down a big hill like here in the US or here in Colorado? Is it going to be like, oh my god, yeah, you're going 4 miles? Well, yeah, I'm going down a hill. I got gravity. You don't need to be hitting the brakes all the time. There's a little grace period there. I think with most cops and most people, rational common sense is like, okay, it might be 65, I'm going down a hill, and I get up to 70. Is it that big of a deal? No, not really. No, no, it's not. But, this system is going to be deciding for you, and it's going to be nagging. There's going to be nagging things. It's going to chirp. It's probably going to push back on the gas pedal. It might vibrate the wheel or something. So to say, hey, you need to slow down. You're going too fast. Maybe there's visual warnings. Maybe there's a heads up and it's flashing. They're going to make it annoying. So you're like, okay. Also means that there's probably going to be a black market to try to deactivate these systems because people are going to find it so annoying they'll want to deactivate it. All new cars would be equipped with data loggers to track the system under recommendations from the ETSC. So see, that's the thing right here. They're going to have data loggers to log where you are, because you're going to have GPS data, how fast you were going, and that's going to in turn allow them, well, why were you over here? Like in China, imagine a communist, the CCP, they could say, well, we see your vehicle went here, here, and here. And you're like, well, that was my friend. Well, who's your friend? Who did you loan the car to? And you're going to have to tell them, and then they're going to go track down that person. Why'd you go here, here, or here? What was your reasoning? What business did you see? Who did you see? This is Big Brother right here, man. You know, I don't usually go on about conspiracy and stuff, but this is Big Brother, but people don't see it. They're like, it's about saving lives. Yeah. You know, I'm sorry, I'm about freedom. Even though the UK is planning to leave the EU this year, it's likely the new speed limit rules will continue to apply here after Brexit. Well, yeah, that's true, because in the vehicles are going to have them anyways, and it sounds like the UK is going to follow whatever the EU says on a lot of rules and regulations and what have you. I don't know why they would. You're leaving your own country. You can think for yourselves, I would hope, and govern yourselves. You can't vote for who is ruling the EU, so why would you make your citizens follow rules that the EU imposes? I guess it's easier to do that. They're probably being paid off by manufacturers, because car manufacturers aren't going to want to make two sets of cars. So you got that too. The UK's Vehicle Certification Agency, VCA, has stated it intends to mirror EU rules post-Brexit. Well, right there, it's going to mirror the rules anyways. While car makers are unlikely to produce different vehicles specifically for the UK market. That's true. We're a world economy kind of. So you're going to have whatever they need there, we're going to have here, whether it's turned on in our cars, and it might just be on, but no one's actually capable of logging into it due to rules and regulations possibly being, but okay, let's continue. However, some other aspects of driving are likely to change after Britain leaves the EU. And then it goes on to, they're just leaving the EU, and if you need an international driver's permit, etc. But some of the funny things down here are like, this person, all new cars would also be equipped with data loggers to track the system. Do we really want our every action to be monitored and logged? Also, remember that every data storage system can be hacked, so there will be no guarantee of privacy. It's a disgrace. That's true. There will be people that can hack and then find out where you've been, or maybe that information by the car manufacturers are going to be sold to companies, so they have a better idea of what to sell you. Like, oh, you always go to Denver, or you always take this long road trip. You should stop at Pilot gas stations, or BP gas stations, or Shell, or whatever. We see that you went to this gas station, so maybe next time you should go over here. Or you went to this restaurant, we guess, because where you parked, but maybe you should try this Yeah, I mean, imagine how much money there is in directly advertising to you based on where your car is going. That data is worth a lot. Just like your cell phone tracking you is worth a lot to Google to sell to companies to directly market to you specific products on your behaviors. So it's just expanding it even more in our lives. How to overcome a data logging system. All the data has to be stored. This guy talks about magnets. SSD is not going to, yeah, I mean, if it's a part of the system, you're not going to be able to just easily with a magnet. Wishful thinking there. Good idea, wishful thinking. Not hard drives anymore. Not our every action. It need only track the rare occasions when the driver sees a need to override the speed limiter. If drivers are going this regularly, then they will have only themselves to blame. So this is somebody pro it saying, oh my God, no matter what the circumstance of you going over the speed limit, you should be fined and have penalties, and that's your problem. Come on now. Okay, in exchange for the road safety benefits that the system will bring. So, say arguing, oh, the safety, the safety. These people are weird that argue about safety. Now, this article's been around for a little while because 2 years ago this response, but remember, 2022. So I think that's why it's kind of resurfacing because people thought maybe it would go away. Well, I don't think it is. In particular, not having to suffer other drivers tailgating. Well, you going over the speed limit isn't going to stop somebody from tailgating you and or dangerously overtaking them in order to exceed the limit. Hold on now. I'd rather get around you as fast as possible than this happens quite a bit. You're on in the U.S. You're on the interstate, which is our main road. Our federal government built the roads, built the interstate state system, and it's for military, but for the byproduct is commerce easily being transported around the nation. Thus, we get the benefit as drivers to use the interstate system because it's paid for by tax dollars to get around. So it makes moving around the country real easy. I don't know how many times you might get in the left lane, you're gonna go around somebody. Well, I'll just pick a minivan for example. And the lady, as you're coming around and you're going, say it's a 75 zone, she was in the middle going 65. As you come around on the left, they speed up to 75, and then it's like, what are you doing? Now they're doing 80, and you speed up, now they're doing 85. It's like, what are you doing? Now, some people would say, well, just follow in back behind. Okay, you do that. You're the good guy. You're like, fine, whatever. They want to go ahead. I've done that. And you fall behind them. Now they slow back down to like 55 miles an hour or 65 or whatever. They go below the speed limit, which is 65 or 75 in my example. So, then you have to go around again. This time you're just going to punch it up to 100, blast around, get over, and be done. And then they don't try to keep up with you. It's like, oh, they got around. Okay, I'm done. It's not going to make the roads any safer if I can't get around that person in a reasonable amount of time. What if I'm in a one lane each way road and there's a dotted line I can pass? I got the legal ability to pass. This person's going to slow down. I start to go around. They speed up. Now I'm in that oncoming lane, and the system is making me only go, say, 55 miles an hour because the speed limit on that rural road is 55 miles an hour. So now I have an issue. I have to slow way down and get back behind because this person is going to play games with you. Also, another thing that this article from the UK and the EU don't talk about is it's talking about saving lives. But will this be adopted in the US? Would it be? Because there are small towns that their whole budget relies on speeding. Imagine if everyone did the speed limit. What are the cops going to do? Those towns are not going to be able to write you tickets, which generate revenue for the town. Same for cities, same for the state police. So in the U.S., we have the state police. So Colorado has state police. You have county police. You have city police. You got a bunch of different police forces, all independent of each other. I think that's personally crazy. I think you should have one for the state. State police should be cover everything, right? But do you really need three agencies that cover the same thing? No, you really don't. But are these agencies going to allow their revenue to go down, their funding, which will affect their pay, affect them getting new vehicles, affect them getting equipment, which means you'll have to pay more taxes to fund the same services because they make so much money on speeders. Will they like a system like this? Will they in the US activate a system like that? I don't think so. I think even in the UK, they're going to find, in a lot of those European Union countries, they're going to find that they're not gaining revenue. The revenue from speed cameras are going to go down because they highly use speeding cameras and red light cameras and stuff like that. Those offenses, at least for speeding, are going to go down. Now, if the system works so great for speeding, well, who says you wouldn't implement it for red lights? Oh, system knows that the light turned red and won't let you go until the light turns green or automatically brakes because it's a red light. Thus, you would save a lot of lives because no one would be running red lights. However, the cities, the towns, the counties, in the US at least, would be losing a lot of revenue from people that run red lights, people that do stupid stuff. Insurance, I guess, would go down, but insurance also wants you to get tickets. They fund in the US, insurance companies fund police agencies getting laser and other modern equipment to catch speeders. Why? Because the more speeders they catch, the more the rates go up. The more the rates go up, the more money the insurance company makes on artificially saying you're a bad driver and trying to correlate that to there's more accidents because you went 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, which I I don't believe those figures. It's coming from insurance companies a lot of times. They fund studies. You know, they want to see you get more tickets. And more tickets means your rates go up. You pay more money. They make more money because at the end of the day, you know, it's easy money. And they look like the good people to the police agencies because, oh, you know, these insurance companies help us buy all this modern equipment to catch speeders. Well, you're not going to have that whole system. Are insurance companies really going to like that there's not as many speeders being caught? I don't think they will. I don't think they will. You know, so as far as motorcycles, obviously the system's probably too cumbersome, too complicated right now to work on motorcycles. But as the guy over here, as Stuart points out, that you know they're working on that. You bet there's somebody working on the systems, and at some point it will be mandatory that all vehicles have this system built into it. Now, whether it's turned on in your country or whether it's used, it's probably going to be turned on and tracking, but you probably aren't going to know. It's probably going to be the car uploading it to the manufacturer, and you just think there's some updates going on, and it's really updating that, this, and that, and just through some software, it can be turned on, you know, through an update. So, I just don't like the idea of government tracking you every little bit. You're going to save 25,000 lives. It sounds good, but is it worth it at the end of the day? I don't think it is. Maybe that makes me a bad guy. Mark, you don't care about people. I do care about people. But, you know, people are going to die. That is just life. You can't live in a bubble your whole life. If I was worried about getting hurt or dying, I wouldn't be out there on a two-stroke motorcycle on some of the gnarliest trails in Colorado. Because I seriously could get hurt, injured, maimed. I mean, something can have death real easy, and people do die. But maybe that's some of us as riders, our risk tolerance is a lot higher. Just because your risk tolerance is not as high as mine doesn't mean that you should control what I do. I think what we need better is better education in driving and riding and all that. And if you are going to pass away, if you are going to do something, how to know your surroundings. There needs to be a lot better education. Anyways, that's enough ranting. You guys take care, stay well, stay safe, my friends. Get out there and ride those two wheels, and get out there and enjoy your vehicles while you can before you're tracked by Big Brother, especially if you are in the UK summer of 2022. Man, good luck to you all over there across the pond. I wish you the best. Have a good one. Bye.